when they see their friends perp walked on national television, going to federal prison, and I'm not talking about the white collar ones, for inciting a riot, you will shut this down. So folks, there are basically three groups right now out there in these incidents we're having every night. Please don't forget this analysis. I think it's important. The first group are legitimate protesters who are, by legitimate protesters, I mean they're not out there to cause violence. They have genuine concerns about what happened. Whether you agree with those concerns or not, candidly, is irrelevant to this topic. Leftists don't agree with you. You have the right to protest. We don't agree with a lot of things leftists do, and leftists have the right to protest. And that doesn't mean everybody protesting is a leftist either. I'm simply suggesting people have a constitutional right to assemble and petition the government and exercise that authority. That right does not depend on their political views. I'm not speaking in any kind of a condescending tone. I know you all know this. But a lot of these people are legitimate protesters that are out there exercising a constitutional right and authority. That's group one. Group number two. Sadly, you have people who've infiltrated this who are regular street criminals with no morals or ethics and not a spine to be found anywhere. They will take advantage of the first sense of chaos to leverage that opportunity to enrich themselves and benefit themselves. They don't care about anything else. And if you're here to make excuses for them, like some of the liberal media people who watch my show, oh, Dan, they're downtrodden, they're poor. I get that. Societal poverty's been a big problem that we've been trying to solve for a very long time through free markets and opportunity. But let me tell you something. My wife grew up dirt poor in the streets of Columbia, and I'm not talking about South Carolina. I grew up above a bar at 64th Place and Myrtle Avenue. Believe me, it was not the Beverly Hilton. So if you're going to suggest to me that poverty is an excuse to burn down a building, potentially kill someone, attack someone in the street, or steal their livelihood and destroy their business, get the blank off my show now. You're not welcome here. You are not welcome here. I don't want your views, your downloads, your listens, or anything else. I never once in my life had the inclination, despite the poorest times I've lived through my life, and my wife either, to punch someone in the face for no reason, to burn their store down, or to steal their livelihoods. That's the second group. Your soul-free, spine-free street criminals who are taking advantage of this situation. Remember, these groups' interests are not aligned. Your third group, and the most dangerous, are these Antifa thug terrorists. They are terrorists. They have now been designated a terrorist group. That's important. Don't let anyone tell you this is meaningless. It's not. Although the State Department will typically engage in designating a group, a foreign group, terrorist, President Trump's allocation of this Antifa group of thugs as terrorists will assuredly get the FBI on its toes to start investigating them as a coordinated terrorist operation they are. This is not meaningless. I don't care whatever leftist tells you that was toothless. It isn't. Now, let's get to the solutions here, because these three groups, ladies and gentlemen, the protesters, the criminals, and Antifa, their interests are not aligned. I'm going to show you a video in a second of how their interests aren't aligned. The protesters, ladies and gentlemen, have legitimate grievances. These people in there, again, whether we believe or agree with those grievances and how they express them or not, if they are peaceful protesters, they believe they're legitimate. And watching the video of Mr. Floyd, that was disturbing. They have the right to show up and to speak their mind. Their interests are not the interests of the criminals and protesters, which have hijacked that moment and made this conversation about Mr. Floyd secondary to now what have become full-blown riots and an insurrection. The protesters wanting to solve this problem or try to fix it, they are not the friends of the criminals or the Antifa folks. Legitimate protesters. You don't believe me? Let me play this video of an Antifa animal trying to break up a sidewalk in Washington, D.C. to get rocks to throw at the cops. You see in the video, he's got a hammer. He's breaking up the sidewalk. And what happens? He gets tackled by a bunch of people who are peacefully protesting, who tackle this jerkwad, loser, dipwad piece of human garbage, drag him out of there with his fake black mask on and his dopey glasses, and hand him over to the cops, who promptly arrest him. It's happening. It's not happening everywhere. It needs to happen more. There are both black and white business owners in liberal cities who are starting to figure out quickly that their legitimate gripes against the police, whatever they think happens in their communities, some legitimate, again, some not. There's been some misinformation about what the cops do out there as well. Some of them are turning rapidly on these people. I have seen a number of videos. It's probably not going to put a smile on your face or make you feel any better, because there's not enough of these, but they are there. I'd play them all day if I could, but I'm limited on time. There are numerous videos out there of both black and white business owners confronting these people out front of their businesses and telling them, this is not the path here. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, some of them have gotten the snot beaten out of them and brutally and ruthlessly attacked for doing so. The protesters' interests are not those of the criminals and Antifa. And I'm begging you, if you are one of those protesters who is genuinely concerned about what happened to Mr. George Floyd, then turn these people in and don't allow them for a second to hijack what you're doing. They are discrediting this entire movement and what you're doing. Now, I just showed you the video of these protesters turning on Antifa. Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, criminals are doing this too. Criminals, their interests are not those of Antifa either, because these Antifa folks are causing this riot and burning down these neighborhoods. Some of these criminals actually live in too. I'm not absolving the responsibility, but you have to understand that. If you are a local jerkwad who thinks he's just going to loot and walk out of there and succumb to these Antifa people, do you understand these are domestic terrorists that are infiltrating your neighborhood to burn it down? When are you going to wake up? You may say, well, what can the FBI do? Well, again, solutions. Protesters, you need to turn on these people quick, these criminals and Antifa types. Second, the FBI needs to decapitate legally Antifa right now. They need to be shut down. This is a terrorist organization. There is no longer any question, committed to an insurrection and the coup of the United States. That the media is defending them, the liberal media, should tell you everything you need to know. This is the stormtrooper tactics of far leftists. These are their frontline shock troops, Antifa. To quote David Raboy on Twitter, who is right onto them. There is a reason radical far leftists are defending them. This is their agitation arm, Antifa, to rile up and destroy communities, hoping to aggravate people into organizing political power against the system now. The far left will fight for Antifa to the end. To quote David, and he's right, an astute analyst of this situation, the left is not going to give up this fight easily. They will defend Antifa, if they need, to the end. The FBI needs to legally decapitate Antifa today. Here's what we charge them with. Cornell Law, 18 United States Code 2101, riots. Whoever travels in interstate or foreign commerce or uses any facility of interstate or foreign commerce, including but not limited to the mail, telegraph, telephone, radio, or television, with intent to incite a riot, to organize, promote, encourage a riot, or to commit any violence in further of a riot. Get these sons of bitches now on 18 USC 2101 and throw them in jail and perp walk every single one of these Antifa cowards. Get them in handcuffs and perp walk them in front of the national television. These Antifa kids are a bunch of spoiled stooges who sit in their basement all day eating s'mores with mommy. It's not a joke. They have found a collective cause and they hide behind anonymity, black hoodies, and glasses. The minute you expose these 120-pound coward losers living off Nutramints in their basement while smoking a doobie, you will crush them when they see their friends perp walked on national television. going to federal prison, and I'm not talking about the white-collar ones, for inciting a riot, you will shut this down. They need to be decapitated legally today, using every legal option our law enforcement infrastructure has. This is a terror group. No mercy. They should be treated as such.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.